Welcome to another exciting episode of the Why I Love Disney podcast. I'm Dustin. I'm here with David and JD. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Fantastic. You guys, we're going to talk a lot about what you guys did over the last week. David got back down to Florida, and you guys spent a few days in the park. Isn't that right?
Yes.
That's exciting. Right. That's what the bulk of this episode is going to be about, and we have lots of questions, and I can't wait to hear your experience. And I know you had some unique experiences for a Disney travels as well. But before we do that, I wanted to ask you guys. I know you've been there and staying super busy with all that. But is there anything new in your lives? Anything going on? Any Disney Plus progress you've made? Any Disney news that you've seen that you wanted to talk about before we get started?
Well, it's been a busy week. Unfortunately, I haven't finished Book of Boba Fett yet, so I'm bummed about that. But yesterday, with it being Valentine's Day, me and my wife went and saw Death on the Nile, which it's 21st Century Fox, which is kind of Disney if you kind of think about it, but really liked it. Definitely would recommend. I don't know how much you guys have read about it, but it's a murder mystery. And it's way more intense than I thought it would be. Like, I thought it would almost be more comical, but it was intense. But it was really fun, and it was a really good movie.
It's definitely one of the best of her books. It's definitely in the top 5 plots that you're not going to figure it out.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Did you figure it out? Did you know who it was? Yeah,
no, and that's the thing is, I love mysteries. I always tell people. Like, I'll watch anything if you tell me the genre is mystery just because it's intriguing. So the whole time I'm like half watching, but, half trying to figure it out. And I didn't. I couldn't. So that shows you how good it was.
Wouldn't that be kind of cool if they kept doing these Agatha Christie 1930s movies? Then they could do like a whole themed murder mystery land.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
That's super cool.
Agatha Land.
There you go. Or just like a big dinner theater. You know what I'm saying? Like where they do where you act those out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could turn Jungle Cruise into Death on the Nile.
Hey, not a bad idea. Something to refresh that here in a little bit too. So we can't really talk about Boba Fett. And that final episode's really good. It took me a little bit to see it, but I finally did too. Can't wait to talk about that with you. We went and saw a movie yesterday too, but we saw the Marry Me movie with Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson. It was actually really, for the romantic comedy kind of thing, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Death on the Nile was on the list too, but it was a good night. We didn't see the Disney movie, but we did see a movie. But catching up on Daredevil 2 over here before they take it off of Netflix, and I'm sure it'll show back up on Disney Plus at some point. But we're trying to get caught up and rewatch all of that and experience that again. So it's been a good week. David, how about you? I know you've been traveling. You behind on everything?
Well, we were catching up on. We're in Daredevil also second season, working our way through that, and. Just loving how it's gonna. You can see how they're building the next universe, the next multiverse or whatever. The characters that are going to be there. We also a non-Disney thing we watched was PBS Masterpiece Theater Around the World in 80 Days. It's a new series, 8 episodes, and we kind of stumbled into that when we were caught up on all the Disney stuff, and so we were trying to finish that. So we watched some of that last night.
That's awesome. Yeah. Did you guys watch the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah.
We did.
And did your team, were you happy with the result? Let's get there first.
I like the result just because I had a lot of respect for both teams. Bengals, we don't have to really get into it. One's a young team, one's got a lot of veterans. So I was kind of pulling for both. But the halftime show, now that was the highlight. That was the best halftime show.
That was great.
In a long time.
And actually, I thought it was very. You always are nervous as a parent. Is it going to go off the rails? And of all the last few that I can remember is probably the most tame. They didn't drop any language. They were very careful. It wasn't filled with just overtly, this overt sexuality, so much. And I actually really enjoyed it and was very appreciative of kind of that they made it family friendly as best they could. And I enjoyed it too. One of the best, probably top 5 all time Super Bowl halftime shows. Let's go back real quick. What are your favorite halftime shows that you remember? What's on your Mount Rushmore list of Super Bowl halftime shows?
Gosh, that's a tough one. I'm trying to just think the ones I can honestly remember. I remember last year was Shakira and Beyonce, right?
Was it?
So yeah, I think so, wasn't it?
I've already forgot that one.
No,
Oh no, it was Jennifer Lopez,
Okay.
not Beyonce.
Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, I knew it was two. Yeah, so it was a lot different than this year. But yeah, they're always memorable. I mean, they're always whoever the next hot artist or nostalgia. This one was definitely more of a nostalgia than anything else.
Next year it ought to be Encanto.
Well, now
Yeah.
it wasn't
Halftime
last
show.
year. The year it's on ABC, there's usually a Disney presence, right? So
Yeah.
the networks bounce it around. Like Fox will have it, CBS will have it, NBC, and then ABC, and they kind of bounce it around. But I actually my Mount Rushmore would be the Prince halftime show. These the ones I can remember, right? U2 after 9/11. That was just so emotional. All of the names scrolling up of all the people who died. And then at the end, he opens his jacket up and has the American. I'll never forget that. And then maybe the Michael Jackson one was, I think, was kind of the first huge Super Bowl halftime show. I think that was I was a kid. So that might have been like 92, 91, 92, something like that. Kind of at the height of his stardom. And then this one, this is right up there. And so I thought it was fantastic. So many are forgettable. The Bruno Mars one was kind of cool. There's
I
always
remember that
something. I'm never negative about them. I'm never well, that sucked. I never think they all suck, any of them. But, there are some that are better than others for sure. And some that are forgettable. And I thought this was on the Mount Rushmore. So that was really cool. Disney always has a presence at the Super Bowl, even if they're not producing it, though. And I was just reading, for sure, the Los Angeles Rams, the Super Bowl champions, a lot of them are at Disneyland or went to Disneyland yesterday. Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Donald, all with their families, were at Disneyland. So they were going to Disneyland, and they did right away, which I always think is really interesting. The day after the Super Bowl, you end up in a theme park. I think you have something to do. You know what I mean? But no, hey, let's go to the theme park. Nothing to do. That's kind of cool, though. And kind of a tradition now. Those commercials were always famous. I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to Disneyland. They record them right there on the field. We haven't seen it pop up yet. Have you seen anything? They usually.
I haven't seen it. Now, the first one was totally spontaneous, though, right? I think the first time it happened, it wasn't a commercial. He said it.
So I think the history behind it is, again, I could be totally wrong, but someone like Michael Eisner's wife or someone came up with the idea. It was definitely more of a kind of spontaneous it just kind of appeared and it was an idea. But I think it might have been Michael Eisner's wife who was like, what if they said this? And he liked it. And then he went to both quarterbacks or whatever the Super Bowl was that year and said, hey, if you win and you say, you're going to Disney World now, we'll pay you this much money. And then after that, it became such an iconic thing that they would get multiple players. And it's a brilliant thing. Now people are just waiting for it. I remember when I watched the Super Bowl this year, I was kind of toned in of okay, what players did Disney pick? Who are they going to, draw into and say, I'm going to Disney World. And of course this year they're going to Disneyland because it's Los Angeles, but it was cool.
I've seen them before. I think Peyton Manning, I remember they actually beforehand, they coach you on what to do and they record it several ways. They say, I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to Disney. I've seen them a cut of that. He goes, I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going somewhere else. And then they cut that into commercials for them right there on the field. It's pretty remarkable. And you're right. It has become kind of iconic. Maybe not so much in the recent years, but when we were a kid, you'd win a game or a championship. And you just start, I'm going to Disney World. It's kind of what you would say. It's kind of wild. But Disney also had some presence there on the Super Bowl commercials. There were several Disney sponsored commercials. Did you get to see? Did you watch all the commercials? Are y'all commercial guys for the Super Bowl?
Yes, I watched all the commercials. I saw several of the trailer, Doctor Strange, the new series that's coming to Disney Plus. What's it called?
Moon Knight,
the movie, right?
Moon Knight. Yeah. No, it's a series, right?
It's a TV series. I'm pretty sure it's not a movie.
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
Yeah.
I think so.
I saw that, and the one with Aquafina.
Yeah,
and the
that was
goats.
a Disney Plus commercial.
Oh,
It was a general one. It was really, really cool. She's a really popular. She's gotten really famous, and I think that was a good. It was interesting, if nonetheless, it kind of had the Super Bowl vibes to it for sure. Dressing up goats as characters. The idea is being Disney has all the best content, and not far off. I was looking at numbers. They're still predicting between 220 to 260 million subscribers by the end of 2024, which will certainly surpass Netflix, not in the far too distant future, and that's pretty remarkable too.
Wow, that's great. Maybe if they make enough money from Disney Plus, they can make the parks a little cheaper, so we can go more often.
Well, I was also reading another bit of Disney news that prices are still going up, and they're very close to record revenue at the parks after a pandemic.
Wow.
So
go
ahead.
I feel like that a large amount of that is probably due to, one, the pandemic's finally starting to, people are venturing out more. So people are going to Disney parks at numbers like they were, but Disney still hasn't brought back a lot of that entertainment and a lot of that cast member force that they used to have. So I bet a lot of that revenue, one, is large crowds going, of course, but two, not having the expenses that they used to have. If I had to make an educated guess from a business perspective, that would definitely influence revenue a lot.
Yeah, totally. I think their park numbers are up too. It's back to it's crazy.
Well, we could definitely see that when we went. I mean,
it was definitely crowded.
So our last trip, we went in beginning of December, right, Dad? It was beginning of December.
No, it was mid-November.
Okay, so mid-November. So still kind of holiday times. That's more of a typical, holiday family going time. We went last week, which is February. If going to Disney Park, that February, beginning of February before spring break, kind of end of January, that's the prime time that you would really want to go because people have kids, they're in school, like it's a new year. Not a lot of people are planning a vacation. And
it's not as hot.
Yeah,
and
so it's a prime time if you don't have kids or if you have a flexible schedule to go. So me and Dad thought, okay, we're going to plan this. We're going to be able to, hop on rides and eat and go through all these things. And it was crazy. I mean, we looked at the app every day. If you looked at the wait times, it was like over an hour for even the most, every ride.
So what's going on in the middle of February? Yeah. Is it like a Valentine's trip? What's going on? Is it President's Day?
We also that's coming up. But we had family there the first week of February. They said it was very crowded. We're there the second week of February, and it was very crowded. And I've seen several people report, that back in 2020, that January and February of 2020, before the pandemic, were more crowded than normal. And then the pandemic turned everything around for a while. So we're kind of back to the 2020 crowds for January, February. I'm not sure that we're going to see those breaks anymore. In fact, while we were there, they had a huge national cheerleading competition. So they know, hey, this is a low time. Let's bring in thousands of students and their families. And
people have school. It makes no sense to me how the parks would be like super crowded in February. There's just other than weekends.
Well, the other thing we noticed that we started our trip on a Wednesday, and Wednesday it was very crowded and there were no cheerleaders there and it was packed. And what I noticed Wednesday was that we didn't see a lot of teenagers, but we saw a lot of children, a lot of families with small children, maybe one elementary age kind of kid age range. So I think they're pulling. I think that elementary age, they were pulling kids out. So that was a lot of families. We saw more of that. Didn't see a lot of middle school aged kids or teenagers that first day. But then the next day, with all the teenagers and their families and brothers, all the lines like Space Mountain, Tower of Terror, everything like that shot up to over 2 hours immediately. Things were crowded. The other thing that was different this time, Splash Mountain was down for refurbishment. And our first day, we went to Magic Kingdom. Splash Mountain's down for refurbishment. Space Mountain broke down. I think Peter Pan's Flight broke down. So you had 3 rides that have long lines all down. So everything starts filling up. Even Dumbo, the carousel, things are just getting really crowded because there's nowhere else to go. Yeah. Those lines are down. So definitely saw some of that. And then the other thing we kept wondering is how much Genie Plus was playing into it. We decided at Magic Kingdom this time, we did Genie Plus when we went in November. We decided not to do Genie Plus to see if we could pull it off. And it was a challenge. You definitely saw that the Genie Plus crowd got the advantage over and over and over. So I think that was another thing that was creating longer
So we would
lines.
probably say we were kind of reflecting at the end of our trip, for whoever's going on their trip, maybe next week or next month. The 2 biggest challenges that we faced were probably, one, the rides going down. That's the tough thing about this time of year is this is usually when Disney does a lot of refurbishments. And with the cold weather, rides do typically break down a little bit more. But that's always been kind of a manageable thing because crowds have always been lower. But the thing now is when crowds are so high and then Splash Mountain's already down for refurbishment, then you see Space Mountain goes down and then, Peter Pan goes down for our day. Well, those are 3 of the biggest line, like the most people go to those lines. Yeah. So when those 3 are down, it's going to make everything else skyrocket. So just be kind of prepared for that. We were kind of having to, really watch the app to make sure we weren't, burning too much time in a ride that we knew would go down later throughout the day. But that was definitely one of the biggest challenges from this trip. And another one with the big crowds. This was our first time not doing Genie Plus at Magic Kingdom. And we kind of, again, we were evaluating, like, next time we go to Magic Kingdom, will we buy Genie Plus? And the thing that we've noticed is yes, when crowds are so high, everybody's buying it because they're seeing everybody else buying it. So just like when I was saying, when you see like Small World is 50 minutes, okay, everybody's buying Genie Plus because you're looking at the Lightning Lane and they're letting, what did the proportion probably look like from Genie Plus Lightning Lane to the standby line? They were probably letting 30 Lightning Lane people go for every 1 standby. So they're just flying through this line and you're spending, when you put it in like that, your park day is, let's say 12 hours and you wait in line for Small World for 1 hour. That's 1/12 of your day you're kind of giving up. So you really kind of, you want to be strategical, but you don't want to like over stress about it. That's why we're definitely saying Genie Plus is definitely worth it during those crowded peak times.
Yeah, it's still amazing to see how many people are holding out or either have to hold out because that's just another expense. Of course, there were just 2 of us. It's a lot more affordable than if we had our whole family there, if there were all 6 of us there. So that would have been a lot tougher. The other thing we noticed when we rode Space Mountain, one track was all standby and 1 track was Genie Plus. And that when you looked over and you've been in this long 2-hour-long line and you look over and you see that the other one is just people getting on and there's no line. There's sometimes it didn't even look like there was anyone over in that area, where they have Space Mountain has 2 mirror image tracks and you could look over and their tracks, there's no one in line. They're moving them in so fast. So that's when we were going, this Genie Plus in this case is giving everybody a huge advantage. One other challenge I'll say that kind of a new experience that I had never seen happen. We talked a lot about ride times in some of the other videos where they'll say the line's 45 minutes long and then you get in it and you're really on the line, you're on the ride and out maybe in 30 minutes. It's like they padded a little bit more. So this time was the first time we had 3 rides. Space Mountain, Remy's Ratatouille, and what was the third one, JD? But the 3 rides where they told us a line was especially it was Smuggler's Run. With both Smuggler's Run and Space Mountain, we got in the line when it said 35 minutes. The sign said 35 minutes. The app said 35 minutes.
Wow.
And we were in line 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so we were like, how, even if somehow the numbers were off when we got in, because I think after we'd been in line, after we'd passed the posted signs, Space Mountain went from like 35 to 45, then maybe 50, then maybe an hour. Yeah. We were in way past that. And suddenly we're in line 2 hours. And then once you hit that hour line, you're like, we're not going to make it. But the only thing that could be making it that long is they keep letting Genie Plus go in front of you.
It was that. And then
it's the only thing.
Well, it was that.
Or
and then
breakdown.
You have to remember the app has become such a part of people's park day that someone in your group is always kind of watching it. So just like us, when somebody in the family sees, 35 minutes, this ride's been 60 minutes all day. Literally everybody in that vicinity of the park is going towards that ride because they're trying to get a good deal on a ride. So it's all about just navigating.
You may not have considered this, but is it possible, and just to throw this hypothesis out there, that all the cheerleaders were there, that there's a lot of line skipping, like flipping over the things. You know what I mean? Like they flip over and they just kind of get in front of you.
Well, we did see.
I was joking, but you're going to tell me yes.
Well,
we did see quite a bit. There's a common thing. I don't know where this has come from, but in recent years, like now bathroom lines, I understand that. We've seen some grandmas come through the line with a grandkid because they let the family get in line because the kid had to go to the restroom. That's one thing. But there's we've seen two people are in line and then three people come in with food and they want to pass. They've gone to get their group food. So now suddenly three people jump in. And sometimes it's just families that let somebody get in line. And then here comes a whole like 5 or 6 people pushing their way all to the front. And in watching people's reactions, it's people usually are somehow merciful.
What are you going to do?
Going,
you're kind of betting.
They just shake their head.
Somebody's not going to just put a stop to it. You know what I mean?
We've seen lots of brawls at Disney.
Why do you see
in the news?
Why do you see brawls at Disney?
Of years,
like you would think there's
yeah. Again,
like
you
fights.
Kind of
you mean like fights?
I did. Oh yeah.
Not like undergarments.
Yeah. There was.
Oh. I got it. Okay, I heard that wrong. You're Tennessee.
Brawls.
Okay, I was like, that's a little weird.
Although the one that just happened this week did.
Oh, I read about that. Somehow they got super drunk and they got in a fist fight at Disney Springs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was way down my list of things to talk about today, but it's interesting nonetheless.
It's going to make news because everybody said there've been so many that have made the news, and this is like the first time like they had to people had to go get clothes for her to cover her up. I think she had they said that they were so drunk that one got sick, and then they had slipped in it and fallen. So I think she probably had it on her dress, and so she's just so drunk she took it off.
This isn't in the park. This is at Disney Springs.
And another thing this is Disney Springs, but it's still, hey, this is why Walt Disney didn't want alcohol in the park. He knew that's what it brought in eventually. That's a hard thing to police, how to know when people have had too much. I'm really amazed that more doesn't happen.
That's fascinating.
In the parks with alcohol. Somebody, they're drunk.
So
and they
before you book your trip,
and,
you need to check and see when the cheerleading championships are and try to avoid that weekend.
Yeah, just big conferences like that.
Yeah,
well, you got to go peruse. You got to
that.
go search for like
you never know.
Cheerleading competition. Now, if you Google search that, you might want to like go incognito browser or something because or just let somebody know because that's a little weird to go searching for where's the cheerleading competition happening at this year. But I will say this too. So I say that there are we have a national championship cheerleading squad in my hometown in Kentucky, little rural town in Kentucky. And then we have another school from another division that placed like 5th in the nation. And right now everybody's going like, wow, the national champion and 5th. That's amazing. Think of all the incredible cheer. And that is true. Listen, I'm not dogging on cheerleading. And this isn't about cheerleading because it is an incredible sport with athletic skill. And it's some of the most incredible athletes out there without question. right? And this isn't a commentary on cheerleading. This is a commentary on all youth sports in general. But do you know how many state champions and national champions that I know personally? I shouldn't know this many, which leads me to believe that there's probably a lot of national championships they're handing out. Which, is it really a national championship if everybody gets a national championship?
Hey, that sounds like the Incredibles.
Super.
What is it? If everybody's,
I'm proud of them.
If everybody's a champion, yeah. Hey,
it's also a way to make money.
Competition.
Because, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to go to Disney World and oh my goodness. So anyhow, I just wanted to throw that in there. It has nothing to do with, congrats to all the national champions out there. Or did you guys win a national championship last week?
Not last week.
Hey.
Okay, not last week?
No. We also, the other thing was our very last ride of the trip on Friday night was Tower of Terror. We finally got in that line, and the entire line was cheerleaders. It's like the two of us and massive amount of cheerleaders. But when we got out, they had closed Tower of Terror at 9:00, but the cheerleaders got extra hours. I don't know, probably to at least 11, maybe midnight. They had special armbands, and they got extra hours. And I was like, well, we're the ones that really needed the extra hours because the cheerleaders, really did pack the park that day, and everybody needed extra hours. I really wish that every park was open 9 to 9 when we were there, which that was great. At least nothing closed early. But I really think we were kind of at spring break crowds. And it was that packed anyway. And so I wish they had longer hours. Again, that there's no way to really know what the hours are. They're so good now with the reservation system. They know exactly how many people are there and how many employees they need, how many restaurants they need. So it can feel packed, but it can just be that they've taken some things off the plate, because they don't think they even need it for that size crowd. So who knows? We just felt like it's the first time, another first besides the line thing. It's the first time I've ever left a park and gone to another park.
Interesting.
With the park hopper, just because it was so crowded. We left Magic Kingdom. We were going to stay all day at Magic Kingdom, and we just finally left and went to Epcot. It wasn't crowded. We did some things there. We ate some food and went to watch Harmonious, which we were going to do the second day. So, it was really crowded beyond my expectations. But the thing here, the positive, we still did everything we wanted to do. We had some great meals. It just, you got to spread it out. And when it gets like that, you have to adjust. A lot of people like to take a break in the afternoon anyway, because we had a great first morning, like that day that was so crowded. We did Thunder Mountain at 9:00. We did Haunted Mansion at 9:30. We did another attraction at 10. I mean, we did something every 30 minutes up until about 2 or 3 o'clock. And that's when everything kind of screeched to a halt. And without Genie Plus, we didn't have any. We had no lightning lane, so everything was going to be an hour or more.
Yeah, so when you have crowded days like that, 2 tips that we were kind of talking about that were huge is one, remembering at Disney, even if it's a minute until the park closes, you can get into that Tower of Terror line that's 2 hours, and that's just kind of a little way that you can get more out of your day, ride that ride that you've really wanted to get to enjoy all day, but it's been long, so you haven't. So definitely remember that. That's what we did, and we got an extra hour out of the park every day. That was a big one. And what was the other big one that we were talking about?
Well, I was just going to say, because a lot of people don't get there when the park opens, that 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock just seems so packed. Like when we went back, around 12 or 1, we went back to Main Street to go to Casey's Corner to get one of the 50th anniversary hot dog treats. And people were still coming in. You could see traffic going towards the castle more than you saw going the other way. And so that's when I knew, like, it's going to get crazy in here. So I think if you can you definitely need to rope drop if you can, and take that break in the afternoon, take advantage of that last hour of the day. Of course, if you're staying at a resort, you get 30 extra minutes that we didn't have this time. We stayed off property, but a great hotel that we were 7 minutes from Animal Kingdom. We were so close to the parks. 10 minutes, I think, from the others.
So definitely,
so
I mean, we always tell people you can do just as much in that first 2 hours and the last 2 hours that you can do in that whole middle slot of the day. So if you really want to maximize your day, get there early and be there until it closes. And then two, one thing that we used a lot was just talk to cast members. It's Disney World. A lot of the cast members are also fans of Disney, and they've gone on a lot of trips, and they want to make your trip memorable. So like one way we did this was we went up to the reservation specialist at Sci-Fi Diner, and Sci-Fi Diner, it's at Hollywood Studios. It's always maxed out, always reserved. And we asked them, just said, hey, we only have 2 people. Is there any way you could fit us in? And she literally would change the schedule just so we could fit into the schedule and eat. And I think we only had to wait like 20 minutes. But she wanted to do that for us because she saw that it would have been a special meal and a good time for us. Another thing with the whole – or you want to speak – what?
Well, I was just going to say some of that's just the old JD charm. If y'all want a special favor, I'm going to put him up to the front of the line because he doesn't go up. Now, I watched him. He doesn't go up, Dustin, and say, he doesn't go up and say, is there any way you can squeeze us in? He said, there's no way you can do this, is there? And she goes, let me see. And I was like,
but half of it
smart. Like he
just
challenged
asking.
her.
I mean, it really is just asking. I mean, most people would just kind of walk by Sci-Fi Diner and be like, "Oh, that place is so popular. There's no way we're going to get in there." And they would just walk past it. But I mean,
I would have. I've seen several other things lately say that. Just always go up and ask. You never know. Sometimes they haven't. The
people don't show up.
They've saved some. They've held some things back. So what? Yes, but some things online they may have. And like at Sci-Fi Diner, you sit in a car and you eat your meal in a car and you watch old sci-fi movie trailers on the big screen. And so they have extra seating that's not in a car. And that's actually what she said. I can get you in at a table, in the back, but I can't get you in a car. But they put us in a car. Some of the cars hold 6 people, and there was a family of 4 in the seats in front of us, and so we were in the back, which was fine because we weren't blocking their.
That's really cool.
Another thing that's great about Disney that we experienced was we rode the new Remy Ratatouille ride that we were both excited to ride for the second time, and we waited a really long time, crazy lines, and then we get on the ride and we're about halfway through and it breaks down. And we're like, oh my gosh, like for real, like this is like we've been waiting so long. And yes, it was a tough thing, but one, we were pumped because we got to walk through the ride as it was shut down, so we got to see a lot of cool behind the scenes. But two, they gave us both a free lightning lane for the next day. So we got to do Peter Pan, which we wouldn't have been able to do at Magic Kingdom if they hadn't been nice enough to give that to us. And yes, you're kind of like, well, you waited a long time and it broke down. But I've been to a lot of amusement parks where they're like, sorry, like we can't control that. Like that's just kind of part of it. And Disney at least makes effort towards if something goes wrong, trying to make it up. If you just kind of talk to those cast members.
That's awesome. Well, hey, did you guys have any like new experiences, or what was your favorite part about it? We got some of the lines were long, it was super crowded, but you still had a great time. You got to ride everything and did everything. That's cool. You went to the Sci-Fi Diner. But what were some things that you got to do that maybe you hadn't experienced before? Maybe some great meals or some great experience or something that popped out at you. What was the highlights?
Yeah. Well, some things that were new that I was really glad that we got to do this time. We got into Orlando on Tuesday. Again, it wasn't a park day, but we had Tuesday. We went to Disney Springs. Again, we didn't see the fight.
The puke slip, the puking lady.
That was later, probably. It sounds like something that happened closer to midnight, and we were there in the afternoon. But we went to Disney Springs, looked around some places. Then we got a reservation at Animal Kingdom Lodge at a popular restaurant called Boma, which it's been. I couldn't remember if we'd been there when John David was younger, but it's been a long time. But it's a buffet. It's an African inspired flavors buffet, and so we did that on Tuesday night, and that was really fun. We were there quite a long time. We went through the buffet quite a few times. That was a lot of fun, and had a great time. Had a great cast member, there as well, taking care of us. And it had been a long time since I'd been in Animal Kingdom Lodge, so that was fun. We just went and explored. One of my favorite restaurants that we've ever eaten at is called Jiko. It's called the Eating Place, and it's another African restaurant. Another thing that I really like about Kite Tales, I've seen a lot of people jest about it online, that it's not, a big budget thing. You either love it or you kind of roll your eyes at it. But it did get, like, when my kids were younger, like when you had preschoolers and elementary, it would be a great show for them. I think young families would really love it, and maybe it might not be the show for, the teenage crowd, but it was nice to see they had something that you could take a small child, and they would be. It's like seeing a balloon at the fair, or in the parade. It was a little bit like that. It was fun. It was overall. I was surprised that it had that family feel to it. Again, not a big budget item, but if you've got a young family, it might be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, something to do while you eat too. Yeah, that's cool.
We were eating some buffalo chicken chips.
All right. Sounds good. I'm actually, all this talk about food, it's lunchtime where I'm at, and I'm kind of hungry myself. So we probably should just go ahead and wrap it up. I love hearing about you guys' adventures at the parks, and we'll talk more about that next week. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff coming to Disney Plus. We didn't talk a lot about the new Doctor Strange trailer and Moon Knight, the Kenobi behind the scenes I saw on Disney Plus the other day. It was kind of a little first glimpse. Looks kind of awesome, where they interviewed Ewan McGregor, and just some stuff like that. It looks like going to be really, really cool moving forward. So I can't wait to talk about it with you guys.
That's right.
Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap up?
Hey, I was just going to say, you've got a Universal Parks trip coming up. When is that?
Yeah, our spring break. We are taking a group. I'm actually leading a large group from our church that is the first week of April, and we'll be going to Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios, and Volcano Bay, and spending 4 days in those parks. And that's super excited about that. And it actually, the reason we're doing it instead of Disney, if you're wondering, is because it's significantly cheaper, less expensive, and it's just much more doable for us with a big group at this point.
Is that group rates or is that individual?
It was group rates. And Universal is very aggressive right now in pricing, which I think they see an opening. I really do. They're building a new park, and they know that Disney's getting some bad press for kind of being so expensive, that they're coming in and being super aggressive. Now, it's they're both great, you know what I'm saying, in different ways. And I think we have this, we're not doing a Why I Love Universal podcast, and there's a reason for that, right? Disney is what Disney is. But I'm excited to go and hang out. It's been a while since I've been to a park in Florida. So we'll wrap it up here, and I'll talk more about that as we get going and move forward. So until next time, thanks for listening and coming along with us on this journey. Check us out at whyIloveDisney.com and join the conversation. Have you been to the parks lately? What do you think about all these national champion middle school basketball teams and such? You can yell at us. It's fine. We don't care. If your kid's a national championship, congrats to them. But we'd love to hear from you regardless. Instagram, Twitter, and on the website. You can contact us at all those places. But until next time, guys, I've enjoyed my time thoroughly and can't wait to do it again.
All righty. See you.
So long.